Today we find out, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as Legionary? For this challenge, I'm only allowed to wear Legion armor unless it's an Incognito mission, because some of the Legion missions have you dress up as an NCR Ranger. And I'm only allowed to use Legion weapons, which means weapons found off Legionary bodies, Legionary camps, or Legionary safe houses. With that being said, let's get to it. For my stats, I got a high intelligence, and I put most in strength and endurance because, well, as a Legionary, I assumed I'm going to use melee and unarmed weapons. Which I was kind of right and wrong at the same time. You'll find out later in the video. Anyway, afterwards, I saw that the powder gangers were threatening a town, so I decided to help out. And by help out, I mean I couldn't fight back, so I just hid in a basket and watched everyone fight each other. But don't worry, I provided emotional support. After that, I went to a Legionary slave camp to find some weapons. And some armor, hopefully. I couldn't find any armor, but I was able to find a machete, which will definitely come in handy for later. After finding the machete, I went to Nipton, and in Nipton, there's a home with a trap there with some Legionary armor. So I looted the armor off the dead body, and I finally had some armor for this run. So let's get to it. After finding some good armor, I needed some level up, so I decided to go to Prim to give them a sheriff, so to get some XP. On the way to Prim, some convicts tested me, and this was the best time to test out the machete. In an early game, it is very good. I didn't expect it not to be good, but it does not really hold up against NCR heavy troopers and NCR rangers, which I would find out the hard way later. But for now, I then led some convicts straight to me. Now, if you would want a melee build, the best thing to do is to try to get enemies to come to you. Don't charge at them as they're all shooting you. Attack them, aggro them, and then fall back and wait for them to come at you one by one. That way you can damage them and fight them one-on-one, and you don't have to worry about bullets hitting you. Letting you know in case you want a strong melee build. It's also especially important if you don't have super good armor. And the Legionary armor is alright, but getting shot out by 8 men doesn't really do it justice. So leading them out to fight me is definitely the best thing to do. After that, it was time for me to find a sheriff. So I went to the Powder Gangers Corrective Facility to wipe down some Powder Gangers. But that wasn't why I was there. The real reason I was there is to talk to the sheriff to get him pardoned, which I was able to do after murdering some of his friends. And by friends, I mean criminal scum. After talking to him, he agreed to become the sheriff. Now it was time for a hard quest. For this quest, I was going to have to, well, repair my machete and my armor, because I was going to need it to take down Camp Forlorn Hope. My plan here was to, well, slaughter them all and use the cannibal perk to eat them. I decided cannibalism would be allowed since the Legion allies themselves with the White Glove Society, and it would make my life actually easier. And I don't hate myself, and I don't want to make anything that can make my life easier and not specified in the challenge not able to do. So I decided to go with it. I would slaughter them and then run away and go to bed. Then I would repeat. I would go in, kill some of them, eat their bodies, then go off and go to bed if I really needed it, and rinse and repeat. And eventually, through doing this cycle, I was able to clear out the entire camp, as Camp Forlorn Hope was destroyed, as the profligates begged for their lives. By the way, I just want to say, that guy has a nice mustache. I respect mustaches. Anyway, his mustache did not save him, as I gave him a close shave, you know what I mean. Or at least I tried to, but he ran away like a little B-word. But I was able to track him down and murder everyone important at Camp Forlorn Hope. Always true to Kaiser. After that, I talked back and I got a better machete, which is the reason why I did that. Also, I want to get idolized by the Legion, so there's that too. After that, I sold all their dog tags to make some money and to increase the Legion's opinion of me. I also went to Cottonwood Cove for another reason, a power fist. Now, I could have stole the power fist earlier, which would have made my life a lot easier for that battle. But here's the thing, I forgot it existed till after the battle, so whoops, oh well. At least I'll be able to use it on other NCR soldiers, like in Boulder City. I decided to test out the power fist on some profligates, which actually went pretty well, as they didn't stand a chance, because the power fist is actually quite overpowered. After wiping them out, I talked to the Great Khans. They told me where to find Benny, but I went to the Kings because I needed a way into the Strip, and I could just battle a bunch of Securitrons, but I decided to do the King's Quest to get into the Strip instead. Oh, also, by the way, I'm not allowed to gamble or use stim packs, because stim packs are against the Caesar's code, and gambling is, well, what profligates do. So, forgot to mention that. Afterwards, I decided to use my diplomacy on the NCR to convince them to back off the kings, which I think I did a pretty good job. And by diplomacy, I mean killing them. After all, if there's no one around, there's no one around to beef with. If you want to be a diplomat, write this down, because that will be very important for your diplomatic test in the future. Anyway, after that, I talked to the king, and he agreed to let me into the strip. King, impressed by my diplomatic skills, agreed, and after that I met Vinny, and by met him I decided to show him to my fists. Now technically you can't really, get fists from legionaries, but since the Legion are great at unarmed weaponry, I'm sure they wouldn't mind me beating a guy to death with my fists, so I technically say I don't fail the challenge. If you want to say I fail, I don't really care. It's my channel, I make the rules. Anyway, I decided to have Benny taste a knuckle sandwich. I'm not gonna lie, I felt really powerful just beating Benny down with my bare fist as a bunch of people shot at me and I just ignored them as I beat him till he died. That honestly felt really good, I'm not gonna lie. It filled me with a deep sense of joy. Anyway, after getting the platinum chip, it was time for me to meet Mr. House. And even though it's a Legion playthrough, I decided to get the Mr. House ending. Just kidding. Instead, I decided to murder Mr. House because he runs a gambling ring. Pretty much. That's all Vegas is, a giant gambling ring full of degenerates. And well, since I am a legionary, we all know what I do to degenerates, don't we? So after hacking into Mr. House's computer, opening up his little pod, because he is a shy little old wrinkly sack of a man that he used to be with no soul, just laying there in a sad, depressive state, it was time for me to finish him off, which I did. After finishing off Mr. House, it was time for me to talk with the Legion, because it was finally time for me to meet the great and mighty Kaiser himself. After seeing my lord and master, I bowed before him and told him that I was ready to finish the job, as I was able to steal some armor and weapons from the camp to help me out in the mission. After going down, it was time for me to destroy the machines. Usually I just upgrade them since, well, Kaiser doesn't really know, even if I get the Caesar's Legion ending, but since I am a legionary, I should probably destroy them because, well, that is what I was told to do. And yeah, so I used my weapons to destroy all the generators for Kaiser. After destroying all the generators, Caesar's Legion actually started to like me more, which I got accepted. By the way, I want to get idolized by the Legion. That's one of the goals of this challenge. After that, it was time for me to go off on another quest. So that's exactly what I did. And by other quest, I mean go to the boomers and have them shoot at me with long-range explosives and hope they don't kill me. Now, I could have destroyed the boomers. That probably would have been a lot easier and made more sense. But I figure having a plane on the Legion's side would help them in the Battle of Hoover Dam. And since I am a legionary, I always need to have Kaiser's best interest in mind, especially over my own, because I am just a little weak foot soldier, and Kaiser is the mighty emperor of the Legion. So it was time for me to go in and help the boomers. And I helped them with their little ant problem, was the first thing I did, because they needed, well, I don't really know, because I just skipped past the dialogue, because I'm a dumb legionary. After that, I listened to some nerd talk about the boomers' culture and history, something about killing a bunch of vault dwellers. After that, I fixed some solar panels, which is always, that's always nice. After fixing up some solar panels, the boomers finally liked me enough for me to do the final quest, which is lift a bomber out of the ocean. And since I'm not attacking anyone with this gun, I don't count it as failing the challenge. But if you want to say I failed, say I failed. It's my channel. I can do whatever I want. After that, I decided to go on and fight in the arena, because it was finally time for me to show some slaves who's boss. And I love to wear legionary armor for this, but they took it away for some reason. So I was forced to wear this armor. And I don't count it as failing the challenge because I'm allowed not to wear legionary armor if a legionary quest requires it. Like, for example, if I need to blow up a monorail, which is exactly what I did. For Incognito missions, I did wear NCR armor. And since I'm not fighting in it, I do not consider it failing the challenge. After all, what kind of legionary playthrough would I do if I can't do legionary missions or legionary quest? So, I put a bomb on the monorail, and watched it blow up as I committed domestic, well, I can't say the other word because this is YouTube, and YouTube doesn't like the big no-no T word. After watching the monorail blow up, I then framed an innocent boy and killed him. After that, it was time for me to go back to the main story, after helping Caesar. Now it was time to forge an alliance with the White Glove Society, and since I was already a cannibal, I got special dialogue and got the quest faster. So then I killed Heck Gunderson's son, who actually tried to run away, which surprised me because usually he just stays there like an idiot and I'm able to kill him. But then he crouched like an idiot like he normally does, and I just beat him down to death. After killing Heck Gunderson's son, it was time to frame him for murder, which is exactly what I did, as I covered the rooms in his blood, framing his father for murdering his own son. After that, I was guaranteed safety into a Legionary safe house where they had a sniper rifle. Now, I've never seen a Legionary use a sniper rifle, but if it's in a Legionary safe house, then I'm definitely allowed to use it. So I picked it up. And I've never used a sniper rifle in all of Fallout New Vegas, so I didn't really know how to use it, but I had an idea, which worked out perfectly well. After that, it was time for me to destroy the Brotherhood of Steel. When they came out, I just fisted them. My plan was to lure them into rooms and kill them that way, which is the best thing to do when you're a great opponent. If you're using unarmed or melee, it's always best to lure your opponent into a room and wipe them out that way. The only reason I couldn't do it here is because, well, they cornered me, so I simply fisted them to death. Luckily, they dropped a few power fists, so I was able to repair my Legionary power fist, which was the only one I was allowed to use. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they did kill me quite a few times here, but I was able to get past them all with my Legionary presence and Legionary soul. Also, the power fist is very overpowered. And luckily, I had the perk Super Slam, so they would fall to the floor and drop their weapons. Eventually, I made it to the Elder, as I fisted him, murdering him, as that's what he got. The Profligate used technology banned from the Legion, which means he only deserved death and destruction. After that, I set the bunker to be destroyed and became idolized by the Legion. I know it says accepted, but that's because I'm wearing Legion armor. I swear that I am idolized by the Legion. There, you can see it, idolized. I'm idolized by the Legion. So that part of my quest is completed. Now, I had to save Kaisar, and I could sell Arcade into slavery, but I do that every single run. So this time, I decided to take the hard way out and actually go into the vault and fix Caesar's autodock. And now, I guess the autodock is banned, but technically, I'm not using it and Caesar's using it. So if he was doing the challenge, he would fail, but I wouldn't. So I took what the autodock needed, and I came back to Caesar. And I could let him die, but I didn't have enough speech to, get the Lanius ending. So I saved Caesar's life like a good Legionnaire. And it was time for me to assassinate the president of the NCR. And remember why I said that sniper rifle would come in handy? Well, it did, as I used it to assassinate him. Now, I had very low in perception, and I've never used a sniper in New Vegas, so I missed a lot of shots, like a lot. This was embarrassing. So I just kept shooting until I hit him eventually, which after like 5 or 6 shots, I did eventually manage to hit the president of the NCR. Which is, good for me, But after hitting him, it turns out he didn't die. Luckily, I was able to hit him again and kill him right before he ran into the helicopter. And with the president dead, I was able to walk back, which is actually pretty cool that you could snipe him. I didn't know you could snipe him. I just tried that out for once. Afterwards, it was time for me to go and meet the Burn Man, because the Burn Man was the failed legate, and he deserves to die for his crimes. And I know a bunch of people are getting mad in the comments because there's a whole sim community about him, but I honestly don't like this character. I need to make a whole video describing why I don't like him, because there's a lot of pent-up rage here. But anyway, Joshua Graham, or Burn Man, or whatever you call them, died by the wrath of Caesar for his failure. After that, it was time for me to assault the dam. I've done the Legion ending quite a few times, so it was nothing new to me. Just slaughtered some NCR troopers here and there, and let some of the Legion troops out who were trapped in the tunnels. All in a day's work as a pro Legionary like myself could do. After all that, I got to the computer and let my soldiers out. Let my soldiers free! I didn't have enough speech to convince them to attack anything, so I just said, I'm gonna go do what you do. Eventually, I made it to
General Lee Oliver. And this is the part where I don't like, the traps, where there's a bunch of traps going around and 2 NCR Rangers running around. That is kind of, well, it kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. I hate this part. I rage quit during this a lot, I'm not gonna lie, no matter what level I'm at, because my sneak's never enough to get, you know, the light foot where you can't get traps off. But I was able to make it through brute force and just punch them down, destroying them. After that, it was time to fight Lee Oliver's guard, which they could easily destroy me unless I lured them into a room. By walking into a room and aggroing them, I could fight them one by one. As they came to me one by one, I slaughtered them and knocked them down. Also, Super Slam helps a lot. I don't think I would be able to do this challenge without Super Slam, so shout out to that perk. If you want a strong melee build, I highly suggest you get Super Slam. After punching them all down, it was time for me to fight Lee Oliver, which, since I had a Super Slam Fist, Power Fist 9000 thing, he easily was destroyed. And I easily destroyed what was left of the NCR. And I'm not gonna lie, this challenge was actually pretty fun. And that Battle of Hoover Dam was a lot more challenging than I thought it would, since the rest of the game I kind of blew through easily. Except for the very beginning, that was hard getting the armor. But that's how most challenges are. Getting what you need is kind of the hard part, and after that, you're kind of all set. Anyway, I was able to fist down what was left of General Lee's army. Then it was time for me to meet the Legate. After going over and talking to the Legate, I proved yes you can beat Fallout New Vegas as a Legionary. Hope you have a good day. Peace out.